Good morning. At the beginning of the year, many of us think about what we want to give up and what new activity we may be willing to try. In my childhood home, being wrong, making a mistake, or failing was met with scathing criticism. So my sister and I were risk averse. A long time ago, a partner and I had a huge argument over whether a tape he had made contained songs by Joni Mitchell or Joan Baez. He said it was Joan, and I said, no, actually, it's Joni Mitchell. No, he said it was Joan Baez. We went round and round for 25 minutes and got more and more frustrated and more exercised about it. And I told him, this is my area of expertise. He was not impressed. And I told him I was right. Being right felt like a matter of life or death. Eventually, the matter was settled, but I was very disturbed by what had happened, by a heated argument over something so trivial. And I wondered what was going on. So I went to a friend who is a psychotherapist and told her what happened. And she said, oh, both of you would rather be right than get along. I sputtered. Do I have to say I was wrong when I know I'm right? No. You can agree to disagree and then drop it. There were other discussions about whether to build a deck or buy another car. But the urgent need to be right began to loosen. Did this epiphany change my behavior overnight? Indeed, no. Every week, every month, and at the beginning of every year, I promised myself to let this negative childhood conditioning end because it prevents me from feeling connected to other people or enhancing my most important relationships. Reverend Marcia called me a few months ago and proposed that I become a worship assistant. Inside I shrieked, good heavens, no! I thought, I have way too much going on. Well, everybody has way too much going on. I asked her if I could think it over and get back to her. And when I became aware that it wasn't because I had so much going on, it was because I found taking a risk very alarming. It was the writing of and delivering of a reflection that gave me pause. I had spent decades developing the skill of acting in theater, performing music, and I was the interpreter of other people's words. What in the world could I say to you that would be worth your attention? In addition, my fellow worship assistants are awesome. It isn't that it's a competition, but the bar for excellence is extremely high. And it kind of scared me. It built up that old imposter syndrome that I've carried forever. There is a book that I never read, but I love the title. The title is Face the Fear and Do It Anyway. I slowly realized that I would calcify if I didn't get out of my comfort zone, take a risk, and do something new. No elderly person sits in a rocking chair on the porch and says to their spouse, "Remember back in 2022 when I played it safe?" No person says that. No elderly person says that. And so I agreed. Not to give it a try, but to commit to 3 years. I've always taken my commitments very, very seriously because I would feel bad if I broke them. Now, I want to tell you that this morning we have a double new beginning. At exactly 10:33 a.m. Pacific time, the Capricorn moon moved into its new phase. This is a serious, ambitious, success-oriented sign. Its avatar is the mountain goat. And the mountain goat goes where the air is thin and the path is rocky, but he persistently climbs higher. So this year I will think of him as I go where I have never gone before, and I encourage you to do the same.
My friends, it has been a rough year. There has been joy within it, for sure. The joys of vaccines and those first hugs of my parents. Back in May, for the first time in nearly a year and a half, my parents and my partner and kids and my sister and her husband all gathered together to celebrate my dad's 80th birthday. What a joy it was to be together. My partner Deese and I went to the Redwoods to celebrate their 50th birthday, and we were surrounded by the wonder of centuries-old trees. Both of my children fell in love, and I got to meet their girlfriends, who are kind and good people. My friends got vaccinated, and I got to hug people and even go camping with some. My partner rented a movie theater for my birthday, and I had the amazing realization that nearly all of my friends in that room were present for my ordination, which was exactly 10 years earlier. And of course, I enjoyed lots of walks and taking pictures of beautiful things in nature. We even got to go on a really tiny little vacation, and Deese's parents came to visit us in July, and we got to show them tide pools for what may have been the first time in their lives. Lots of good things happened, and I experienced much joy, and I hope that you have experienced joy in this last year. And it's still been a really rough year. COVID is still very, 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 very real. My partner's parents have experienced major health issues requiring full-time care and decisions and enormous life changes. I worry about my parents and their health. My eldest daughter has been unable to find a job that works for her, and my youngest daughter left college. And ministering during a pandemic is kind of hard. Trying to figure out what's safe and what's not. Preaching to a camera for months, and then to both a camera and a few people in a room. Trying to figure out how to make and maintain connections for folks who haven't actually met in person. It's a challenge. And struggling with the political realities of a deeply divided nation is a challenge as well. Longing to see a world that addresses climate change and income inequality and racial justice and gender justice, and being stuck in one that struggles to even agree not to default on the national budget. It's frustrating. I have my coping mechanisms, just like I imagine you all do. Some of them are healthy, Some of them are deeply human. Nothing dangerous, I promise, but perhaps a little more chocolate than absolutely necessary. But one of the best things that I've been using a lot over the last 6 months or so is something that Eric Griswold first introduced me to, and that's Yoga Nidra. Most of us know yoga as a primarily physical activity because that's how it's been marketed in the West. We tend to, these days, associate yoga with a lot of skinny white women in spandex. I enjoy yoga as a way to stretch and strengthen my body and have practiced on and off for years. But yoga is originally from Southeast Asia, primarily India, and is a millennial-old practice of mind and body integration, deeply entwined with the Vedic scriptures and designed to unite the individual self with the collective divine. We find evidence of yogic scriptures from the Vedic period of 3000 before Common Era and before. Both Buddhism and Hinduism have elements of yoga in their lineages. It was introduced to the West in the 1800s by gurus, and Hatha yoga and Iyengar yoga and other styles are variations of the original physical asanas. But Yoga Nidra is primarily a mental practice. Nidra means sleep, and Yoga Nidra is designed to set the body up for deep rest through meditation practices, including body scans and imagining energy moving throughout your body. It also often involves the creation and use of a sankalpa, which is a Sanskrit word meaning highest resolve. Kelly McGonigal writes, a sankalpa practice starts from the radical premise that you are already who you need to be to fulfill your life's dharma. All you need to do is to focus your mind, connect to your most heartfelt desires, and channel the divine energy within. Rod Stryker, founder of Para Yoga, explains that kalpa means vow, or the rule to be followed above all other rules. Sankalpa, then, is a vow and a commitment we make to support our highest truth. In our fire communion ritual, which we do every year at this time, you're invited to write something you wish to let go or be rid of on a piece of flash paper and then burn it. But as always, I encourage you to be thoughtful about this. Please don't put the name of a politician on the paper. I invite you to think with the thoughtful attention of a sankalpa. Writing, I'd like to lose 40 pounds on a paper might be tempting, but let's approach things in a positive way and a different way. What is it that you long for? What is real and true for you that you need to be more present to? And, well, the burning of the paper, frankly, is kind of fun. I encourage you to give as much attention to the selecting of an intention for this year. I invite you to select a stone to symbolize your attention, if you wish. And so I want us to think for just a moment. I'm just going to stand up here and be kind of quiet and invite you, before we start this ritual, to really think, what would your life be better off without? What would your life be better off with a little less of? Because let's be real, Judgment, anger, fear, they're not really going to go away. But what would your life be better off embracing? I had a spiritual director once who told me that envy is actually a useful emotion because it tells you what you long for and what you value. What is your heart longing for this year? What are you ready to let in? What do you need to be your truest self? Let go of judgment, let go of fear, let go of sloth. Embrace connection or health or joy or art. Embrace a meditation practice or gentleness with yourself and others. May 2022 be better, my friends. Blessed be, and amen.